Have you done NACAs?
Oh my God, yes, I've done NACAs. I tell you what, NACA is the thing that made me quit NACA. It was, this, you have kids that are 17, 18 years old, 16 maybe, have a big budget, but they act like they're an adult and they're over you and they talk down to you. So I tell you what happened to me. I was with, I went on after, I'm gonna say her name wrong, Eliza Schlesinger, right?
Nailed it.
Right?
Or Schlesinger, I don't know which one.
Schlesinger, great comic, phenomenal. She crushed. I went up, crushed after. This little girl had to be 17, attitude. She walks up to me for no reason and goes, "You were great. If we have extra money, we'll book you after Eliza." And looked at me and walked away. I looked at my agent. This is when I was on CBS. I was on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, what am I doing with my life where I'm letting children decide my future?
Mm-hmm.
Children
Yeah.
decide my future and how much money I'm going to get.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the spot, I quit NACA.
Yeah.
Right there. I left.
Wow.
I left. I couldn't.
I'm not going to let 8 unpaid virgins dictate my fiscal year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It's just this girl and her smugness and just.
I would argue that maybe you saw that as smugness, but when I talk to college kids, I forget people that young, you can't tell the difference between, for lack of a better word, neurodivergent and not.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, that person just might be socially
Awkward.
Insert word here. Yes. Awkward's a very
but,
polite way of saying it. Where I'm like, they don't even know that's rude. You have to. It takes time to develop social intelligence.
No. I mean, the way she said it, and it's just. But I think, it was great because it reminded me. It's like, why are you going backwards right now?
Yeah.
But the money. Let me tell you.
And the transparency of it was probably nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
The money was insane for what I was making at that time, but people don't understand. That makes you feel so alone when you fly into somewhere. Then you got to drive 2 hours. And then they put you in a cafeteria. And then you're trying to entertain college kids, which I'm way. How old are you? 29?
36.
36.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm way older than you.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like your age when I was doing it.
Yeah.
But
eternal.
I'm engaged.
Uh-huh.
I have nothing in common with these
Yeah.
kids, right? And my comedy is all about my life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking about fiance. What's your worst NACA experience?
Of a college show?
Yeah.
Maybe the last one. It's a longer story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we're here for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got booked for. I was hosting a music festival, and this is the crazy part. It was 3 bands. I did 30 minutes up top, bring up a band for an hour, 15 minutes, another band, 15 minutes, another band. And to people who don't do comedy go, oh, that's 60 minutes of comedy. No, that's 2 hours of comedy.
Yes.
Because it's divided up and put in the worst situation. You have to do every joke you have and somehow adjust and reset the crowd. New people showing up, other people leaving. Do you do old jokes? Do you do new jokes? How do you establish yourself 3 times with all of the best material you have? I got there. It was like a hot room, a hot like old gymnasium with these big fans. There was just a couple kids sitting on the floor who got there early, which is always the coolest kids who show up early to college shows. And I do 30 minutes of bombing. And then
How many people were in the room when you were bombing?
When I was bombing the first time, 20. Okay. And then the first band does great. I go up there again, and now there's 200 people there, and they're drunk, and they're shuffling equipment of the bands behind me. No one's lighting me. I get through the second chunk. I bring up the second band. Sorry, they're these hot 3 of the hottest dudes you've ever seen. They look like the Killers on whatever human growth hormone. They had arms like legs and their eyeshadow, and they're just like fucking the crowd. Can I curse? Sorry. They're just fucking the crowd, and everyone's horny, the guys and the girls. And now I have to go up, and I walk on stage, and I've never felt this before. It was such an odd experience that there was a roar from the crowd that I was waiting for it to dissipate, and it didn't. It was almost like watching a physics anomaly, and that the perpetual motion should run out. The energy should dissipate into the system, yet the noise stayed the same level. And then from that noise, I heard a rhythmic chant build of, take your shirt off, take your shirt off, to the band behind me who's unloading, which is a little demoralizing to me.
Yeah.
And I turn around, there's no band there. They're shouting at me. They are shouting at me.
Oh.
So I do something I've never done before and hopefully never do since. I put the mic in the stand. I walk straight off the stage to the manager of the show. I go, I'm being sexually harassed by the crowd. Can you let me know when the last musician's available, and I'll bring them on stage?
Whoa.
And they go, yep. And they brought me my check, and they go, basically the whole context was, because you don't say shit, I don't say shit.
Because college, they're into that. You know, like they're very sensitive. So if you got off the stage and said, they don't want that reputation.
They knew not to mess with that. I said the right thing.
You did.
Because I always do my time, man. I always do my time.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad, I mean, yes, that's a bad experience. And that was probably before crowd work was so big.
Right.
Now,
like 4 years ago.
For 15 minutes, it's very acceptable to go. Back then, 4 or 5, even 10 years ago, it wasn't acceptable to walk in a room and crowd work. College kids. They're like, no, the organizers wouldn't like it. You're making fun of our students.
Yeah.
Now I think they would be fine as long as you don't cross the line. Mine was, I'm your age, where you are now, doing a college. I'm talking about just getting engaged. About 10 minutes in, I don't want to be there. They can feel I don't want to be there. And
you're so alone.
So alone. This is one where I flew in this podunk town. It's like
always 90 minutes from an airport.
Yes.
Yeah.
Always a connecting flight.
Miserable. Like I'm doing it for the money. Right? I'm doing it for the money. And probably about 10 minutes in, a guy raises his hand and goes, "Excuse me." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "When are you going to be funny?"
I've had that exact same thing happen to me. Yeah. And they don't mean it rudely. It's, again, the social awkwardness if they don't realize it's a mean statement. They're asking matter of fact.
Yeah, like, when are you going to be funny to us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, but I was funny to other, just not to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started roasting him. And then I got the room back. But literally, that was one of those moments, too, where I should have quit then.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I said, no, I'm going to go to one more night. And this is here's what I've always been told. And this is what I love. Josh Wolf always called me and tell me that you're on national television. I was on CBS on the Inside, right? But you're busting your ass for $25 driving to San Diego for a set. I love comedy, though. Like, I love it. And these gigs, I would get paid really well. Miserable, but getting paid really well. And
that
I should have
check
quit.
feels heavy. Sometimes they hand you that check that night, and it burns your hands.
Yeah.
Like, it hurts more that they paid you for what you did. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Have you ever done NACA, Rudy?
No, I was already aged out by the time I got into college. Like, by the time I was already on stage, they were like, "No, you are far too old." It is funny that for people who are so sensitive about themselves nowadays, they want to be roasted. Like, they intentionally go to shows.
Not college kids, though.
It's starting, actually, in the last year. That
yeah.
Okay. If you would have done that when I was doing colleges, you would have been thrown out.
Oh, yeah. They were so sensitive.
Now Matt Rife made it a thing. I mean, there's been crowd work forever, but Matt Rife made it very popular where young people, now people are sitting in the front so they can get roasted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For different kind of comics.
Yeah.
My thing is, if you build a reputation on that, don't be mad when they interrupt your set.
Right.
That's my whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, if that's your thing, it's your thing. Great. But now I hear crowd work comics get mad when people are interrupting their set. It's like, you've established that.
Mm-hmm.
Just like,
behavior.
Yeah, just like if you're on The Daily Show and your thing is doing political comedy, if you go to a show and people get mad you don't do that's what you're known for. That's why they're coming to see. They're coming to see your opinion about politics.
Yeah, if you're Gallagher, bring some goddamn watermelons.
Right?
Yeah.
But enough about that. Matthew Broussard in the house. Let's talk about when's your special come out, because we're going to jump into that in a second, but I just want to get it up top.
Yeah. My special's coming out December 13th on YouTube, Hyperbolic. Put a lot of work into this. It's I think you're going to like it.
Okay. Now, tell us a little bit about you. When did you get into comedy?
2013. I was 1 year out of college. 2011, and I was 23 years old.
You get into college. You got a good degree. Tell everybody what
I got a degree in applied mathematics.
From where?
Rice University.
Rice, Houston, Texas.
Yeah,
around that area. I love it. Yeah, and we actually did a show.
One of my first. That was my first college show for sure.
Was that really?
Yeah.
That was one of my NACA shows.
Probably 2012, yeah.
It was one of my NACA shows. But I'm from Houston, so that was no problem.
Yeah.
Like, that was fun. That show was actually really good.
It's crazy to think how well that show went, looking at how college shows feel now. It felt like a crowd. I was young, but yeah.
You know what was good about that show, I feel, is Houston. I hate the I just think Houston's more open to hearing things. I don't know about the Rice students because I don't have any experience beside that show with Rice, but I know just Houston in general. It's kind of like Texas. I'm from Texas. We're bigger. We're better. That's our attitude.
More diverse, more educated.
More educated, more diverse, and we can say anything, and people have a tolerance to a certain point with it, you know, where they're not going to overreact, right? So that show was great. So you go to Rice, you get this great degree, and then you're like, I'm going to start comedy.
I had a year I worked for a nonprofit, and I worked in finance when I started doing comedy. I was working a pretty chill job of just doing spreadsheets of stock information.
Bored out of your mind, huh?
Bored out of my mind. I did not use my the most I used my computational mathematics degree was the VLOOKUP function in Excel. That was the most intellectual stimulation I had post college. So
and after you,
I was very bad at that job. I was very not on.
So before you did the Rice show, how many times did you go up before that Rice show?
Oh, probably. If I had been doing it for a couple months, and I was doing it every night. So
okay. So you do the Rice show, and then you call your parents and say, "I'm gonna do comedy." How's this work with your parents? Or
I let them know I had started, and they never supported it, and still don't.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, my family is not on. Just recently, they started getting on board. So
Yeah.
when I hear people who have been at it for a long time and that are still successful at it,
Yeah.
it kind of, there's a part of me that just goes, oh, thank God,
No,
I'm
she'll
not the
never.
only one. Yeah. The part that I don't understand is when people have been doing comedy for 5 shows and their family is like, you know, emailing their coworkers and telling everybody, my boy's going to be up on, come on down to the open mic and see. I'm like, who the fuck? What?
In a weird way, that would probably be the thing my parents should have done, because I would have quit.
yeah, right.
If my parents supported me through my first 3 months of comedy, I would have had nothing to prove.
Yeah.
Where would the motivation
But I
be?
also think like those parents that do that, that means their kids never done anything else they're proud of. And this is the first thing they're like, oh my God, look at my kid. You know what I mean? Maybe that's it. I don't know.
My mom said something to me that I try to remember, where she goes, that's not that I don't believe in you. I don't believe in myself. I haven't been a lucky person. I haven't had the career I wanted. I haven't had the life I've wanted, and you're my son. So for you to succeed would mean that I succeeded, and I'm just not that optimistic about my life.
Oh
I was like,
wow.
that helps.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're taking her burden too.
Yes, she's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is she a believer now, or is she still kind of like?
She thinks I'm good at it, but she would rather me have a more stable, just for my own mental health, have a more stable career.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, now with everything so mobile, could you do both?
I don't think I have the time or the energy.
Yeah.
That'd be tough. No, I'm traveling too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
I
once
would
you
love to, like-
finally figure out that life is not worth grinding like that,
Yeah.
that hard, you don't need it anymore. We need it when we're young. We need to be able to do all things all the time. And it's great to be able to develop those skills. Learning how to do Photoshop, video editing, learning how to be a
Right.
stand-up, all of those things have served me later in life. But I wish I could have gone back to like my 20s and been like, you know what? I am going to spend an extra $50 and go to that VIP concert. I am going to take that vacation. I'm not going to sleep in that. Because now at 44, if I have to go somewhere and I'm on the road and say I want to spend an extra day in a city I've never been to, if I'm doing 3 shows, but then I'm going to stay an extra night in like DC or Philadelphia, a place I just want to go and look at, half the time I'll get a bottom of the barrel La Quinta, $60 a night. Now I'm like, you're worth $200 a night.
Yes.
You're worth it now.
To have memories of a city that you,
Yeah.
And
sorry.
I got to be honest with you. I don't take advantage of that because I'm trying to run home to my family and kids. So they're ruining that for me.
Yep.
You know, like,
Do you know the song "One Night in Bangkok"?
I don't know.
no, how's it go? Who sings it?
It's
me
from
look
the
it
musical Chess. You know, "One Night in Bangkok, man, combo."
I think,
Oh,
yeah.
It's an earworm song from the '80s that I think you might actually recognize. But it's about a
Murray Head.
It's about a chess tournament. It's a very interesting. It's about a chess tournament in Thailand where a Russian player is defecting from the Russian government during the Soviet era. One of the lines
There it is.
skip ahead a minute. You'll recognize the chorus. Wait, that sound. You know that one?
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Okay. We'll put it in the show notes so people can go and listen to it.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't want to get flagged.
There's a line from it that haunts me. That's one town's very like the other when your head's down over your pieces. Meaning, like when you're just there for the work, you can go so many places and not experience any of them.
Wow.
And that is like I lived many years just being like, oh, Cleveland, I know the Starbucks, hotel lobby was nice, and then I know the walk to the club because I didn't treat myself.
You know what's interesting to me is when I travel now, because I got 2 kids, 7 and
Mhm.
4. Like that's the time I get rest. Like I never sleep in. I never do. So it's kind of like Rudy's been with me. Like I'll have all intentions to like, yeah, we're gonna roam the city, and then I'll be like, yeah, I'm just gonna sleep.
Yeah.
And I'm not, when I talk about sleep, I'm talking about sleep until like 9. Because I wake up at like 5, 4 o'clock. Like today, I woke up at like 3:30.
Jesus.
You know what I mean? That's just my life. Like my body is wired that
Yeah.
I get 6 hours of sleep, I'm good. So I went to
Good
bed
for
at
you.
like 8:30, woke up at 3:30, 2:30, something like that, and was up. And then I'll take a nap.
During this election, you went to sleep at 8:30?
Oh, yeah. But I kind of knew who was going to win by
Yeah.
the number. Because we're West Coast. We knew who was going to win.
Yeah.
Now, speaking about the election, what do you think there?
I have to eat crow because I didn't see it coming, I guess.
You didn't?
Nah.
Let me tell you.
I prepared for that, but I was betting the other way.
It's interesting to me because I didn't see it coming, but I have no feelings today. Like I remember the first time he won, I was like oh my God, the world's gonna end.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's kind of like, I don't know. I think it's because I'm in a much better place in my life where I know whatever he does is not. Look,
We've seen it.
we've seen it.
Yeah.
We've seen it. I told my friend, it's kind of like getting back with your ex-girlfriend. It's not going to work out, but we've seen this. We know the
highs
tendencies,
and lows. Yeah.
the highs and lows. My only thing is, I honestly think, and this is not a political statement, I think this dude is going to try to get a third term. I think he'd be the first person to try to push for a third term. And I'm just expecting that. So I think now that I know what's going to happen and how he's going to act, and I don't watch news anymore like that. I used to be such a political junkie, watching it all the time. But then 2 years ago, I told Rudy this, I just watch local news. And unless it's huge, like literally, I was watching our local news here.
Dude, the news. If you watch the news,
It's
like turn on a TV and watch the news, it's riveting.
Yeah.
Wait,
I agree.
What news? Just local
Just
news?
any local. We started
Oh, it's
turning on
great.
local news. It's so entertaining.
Oh, it's so good.
Every city I go
It's like
to,
a
I
lost
watch.
art form.
And they don't even talk about politics or anything.
No.
Let me tell you what's awesome. Trump got shot in the ear, right? I'm watching local news. This is a true story. Local news. Hey, breaking news. Trump got shot in the ear. Blah, 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 blah. Now let's kick it off to the mall where such and such is hanging out with dogs that are adopted. It was so, and that's, I was like, this is my place. In
a
Vegas,
female mall Santa?
Right.
We tune in now.
Right? No, serious. So I tell people, stop watching. 24-hour news is to drive you purposely.
Yeah.
Drive you crazy and make you addicted. When you watch local news, it's just stuff that happens in local news every hour. I work for Nexstar. So local news is getting bigger and bigger. And it used to be just 4 hours a day. Now here, it's like 12, 13 hours a day. You can get local news from 5 a.m. till like 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So, and that's where everything's going because people are getting tired of the 24-hour news because all they're doing is enraging people. And I think eventually people are going to get over that.
Yeah.
Like it happened to me 2 years ago. But like I said,
It does feel, I will say, by the way, that shift feels like how like high production porn has gone away and now people just want to see the amateur stuff.
Yeah.
That's local news.
What a
100%.
great analogy. Yeah.
It's like, no, 100%. It's kind of like, yo, just show me what I need to see.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need just show
I don't
me.
think I'm getting paid that much. I just want to see love of the game. You know? I just want to see people who are in it to be in it.
100%. 100%. Hey, what's up? It's Michael. Yo, okay. Me and Rudy, this weekend, we're going to be in St. Louis at the Funny Bone. The next weekend, we're going to be in Columbus, Ohio at the Funny Bone. I'm in my car shooting promos. Anyway, can't wait to see you. Come on out. Love you. Bye. When did it, I guess say take off for you, or when you knew like, okay, this is what I want to do for sure?
I was, and I think you talked, you told me how it was kind of similar for you. I had a lot of luck very early. Yeah. I won Houston's Funniest Person exactly a year in. I was on Comedy Central within a year of that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there were definitely some lows along the way, but that was a good start in that I didn't have too many nights of being like, do I have it? There was the notion of there is and I wanted that from the moment I started. I come from a family of scientists. I enjoy math, so when I started comedy, I had to say, you are a scientist. The hypothesis is you are good enough to do this professionally. Let's test that. Let's push that theory and try to make sure your ego is not part of the equation at every turn. So let's look at how things progress. Let's look at your abilities and not just, you can't just go, I think I'm funny. You have to like let evidence push that forward. And I was lucky enough in that I had hard data to get me through to each
That's
step.
good, because I remember talking to Russell Peters. I was only 2 years in, and he goes, "You're going to shoot your first special 5 to 6 years in,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 7, because you're going to get more stage time because you're a name and people want to put you on stage." And he goes, "Don't get caught up in the years. It's about stage time.
Yes.
Stage time is more important than years. You right now are doing, right off the bat, are doing 15 minutes. And like, I didn't start with 3, 5. I just started with 15.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, just right there, your time in a year is going to be like a person starting out 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
So don't get like, because we've all seen comics that say, "Oh, I've been doing it for 20 years," but they're not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Because their
minutes on
stage
stage,
time
yeah.
is probably like 7.
And quality of the stage time as
And
well.
quality of the stage time.
Makes a big difference, yeah. Going back to being lucky early, last night my girlfriend and I were walking down the Strip, and I've lived in Vegas now for 3 days.
Yeah.
And while we were walking down the Strip last night, she grabbed my arm and looked up, and on the MGM Grand, this was the first time I've ever seen my name in lights
So cool.
on the Strip, and it was so cool. And in that moment, she was like, and she's grabbing her phone. She's like, "Oh my God, it's amazing." I was like, "It's fine. Don't worry about it. You know, it's totally cool. Whatever. Great. We'll grab a photo. I'll send it to my mom, and she'll be like, "Well, wow, that's amazing. Probably not care too much." But I had that moment where I'm like, man, I feel like I'm so early in the game to have that moment where you get to look up and see your name up on lights. You're like, God, that's so cool. So I was walking back to the hotel room last night just thinking, there are so many comics that would kill to have their name. And it's not the marquee. I was on the bottom in the smallest font, but still the fact that you're up there.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many comics that would kill to have that moment, and they'll never ever get it.
But that just shows you how much you need to enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
'Cause a lot of times,
Yeah.
like, because I'm gonna be honest with you, after headlining for like 6, 7 years, I walk in, my name, I don't even pay attention anymore.
Sure.
Right.
You know, unless it's like sold, like all the shows are sold out, and then you kind of like, wow,
Yeah.
it's moving. But it's like living in New York, which you don't look up anymore because the buildings are just, you see them every day. You don't look up and admire, wow, this is amazing. So every once in a while, so I have a alert in my phone. Every year it reminds me to look back of the progress I made each year. So it's just that reminder. It's an alert, says look back.
Yeah.
And I know, look what I've accomplished this year. So I remember Nick Guerra, he's a comic as well. I can't remember. This may be like 3, 4 years ago. I just shot a special, and we were at some casino performing, and I said, let's both put it in our phones.
Mm-hmm.
Look back. Because he's the type of person at that time that felt like he wasn't moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, oh, so let's see.
Shouldn't
In
have
a
cut
year
his
from
hair.
now, where will you be? So literally, he got the alert when he stepped off the stage from his first comedy special he shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, look at that. And I stepped off, and it made me realize what I've accomplished. So I think the problem with the industry, and I tell everybody that starts this, make steps you can achieve so it looks like you're always moving forward. Don't just say, I want to be the biggest comic in the world, but how about, hey, let me get 5 minutes on stage. Let me get 10 minutes. And then once you make it, it's steps you can achieve, and now you feel like you're going forward. So many people just go, I want to make it big, and then they get super bummed out and quit because they're not big.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I make very achievable. I make it very achievable, so I always feel like I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
I love that you broke down stand-up to like a mathematical equation.
Well, that's what you got to do, though.
Yeah.
You got to be honest with yourself.
You have to be prepared for your own delusion and personal bias towards yourself. Yeah.
I remember a lady that used to run Yahoo when I worked there, Marissa. I forgot her last name. Huge tech. She was part of the Google Maps team that created Google Maps or whatever. But I remember the best piece of advice she told me. I was talking to her because I was hosting a Yahoo conference. She goes, fail fast. And I go, what's that mean? She goes, whatever you jump into, give it 3 times. If you fail all 3 times, move on. You're not going to be good at it.
That was my attitude, yeah.
That was
I was ready to walk away after, my first set.
That's right. I was ready to walk away. I was going to try it 3 times. Luckily, my first set went good. I was at the Miami Improv. It went good. So I was like, I love this. And this feeling you have when you do okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I called my mom and said, this is what I was born to do.
Yeah.
What was your first feeling when you got off stage?
I did very well the first time. I did very well the second time, and then I bombed for a few months.
Really?
Yes. But those first 2, I got pulled 4th at the open mic, which was a very good spot on a very good open mic. And I still think all of the universes in which I got pulled 30th, and I bombed and I never came back. I feel like there's more of those universes out there than there are this one, where I got pulled 4th and had a good spot and did well. Second time went well, and then it was very ugly for a while. And I remember I think Chase Russo, who
I love
Russell
Chase.
Simic, love Chase. He's maybe my best friend. I've been bombing for a few weeks, and I was in this room, and I go up and I bomb again, And, you're just so raw and so sore at that point because even still bombing sucks. I walk off stage and Chase was, he had won the contest. He was the funniest guy. We all came in the room and we weren't that close yet. And I was very intimidated by him. And I'm walking off stage and him and Russell walk up. They go, "Hey, you're funny." And I was resentful. I'm like, "Why are you telling me that now? I just bombed. What? They go, we saw you and we liked the way you write, and we didn't think you were going to stick around. So we didn't want to give you the gratification of telling you were good, and then you quit, and then you get to go for the rest of your life thinking comedy is easy. Now that we've seen you suffer, we're telling you keep with it."
And I will tell you, I've seen comics bomb horrifically opening up for me, but the material was good.
Yeah,
you could tell there was something. And I said, and they apologize. They're like, "Oh my God, sorry." I go, "No, you got something." And then you have others that just bomb, and then you're like, it's horrible. But
I love the move of an opener.
Or they kill with material you hate, and you're like,
yeah. That's also the other one too. Where you're like, why do I try writing? Just give them slop. Like this is
I've never had that. I've never had an opener because I let the clubs book the host.
Yes,
I always bring like Rudy travels with me everywhere, so I usually know the feature is going to be good. But I've never had a host just destroy. Yeah.
Oh, Mike Early. Mike Early opened in Acme a couple years ago for me, and I've never seen a host bury the headliner.
Yeah.
To the point where the feature was fine, and it was me standing next to the host, and they would walk up to me like, "Good job, dude, you."
Yeah.
And now Early opens for Louis and is passed at the cellar. And,
okay.
I mean, it worked out for the guy.
Yeah. So Mike Early is a Minneapolis guy.
Okay.
Just a sweetheart, just a great guy. I knew him a little bit when he was living in Minneapolis, but I had gone to New York to do shows, and I had a night off. So I just went to the cellar and hung out. I was just like upstairs at the cafe.
This is New York.
This is New York City.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm upstairs at like the cafe, just having a bite to eat, and I see Mike Early walk in. I know Mike a little bit, barely. Like we're acquaintances at best. And Mike kind of walks up to the table, like where Colin Quinn is, where like all the comics where comics sit. You are not allowed to sit at that table
100%.
unless you get asked to sit at that table. And he kind of walks up to it, and I see him, and I get up from my table, and I walk up. I'm like, "Mike, hey, good to see you." He's like, "Hey, buddy, nice to see you." And we chat for like 2-3 seconds, and I'm like, "Dude, great to see you. Hope you're on stage tonight." "Yeah, I'm on a late show. I'll be at the late show." "Great." I sit down. That's it. Fast forward 2.5 years later, I'm at Acme in Minneapolis, and I run into Mike, and we're chatting real quick. And I said, he said, "Man, the last time I saw you was in New York." And I go, "Oh, that's right. I saw you at the cellar." And he goes, "That was the first night that I was passed. After I got passed, that was the first night I got to come back and perform." And I was walking up to the table with like Colin Quinn and with all these guys, right? And then you walked up to me, and I thought, "Holy shit, leave now. You were going to ruin this for me, dude. Get away from me."
Mike was very cool to say anything but "Who are you?"
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh my God, I am so," I had no idea. Because I thought, because Mike had been living there for a year, and I just saw him on Instagram, and he was doing all these cool things. And I just thought he was like, that was my first night. And the second we started talking, I thought, those guys are going to look at me talking to this nobody, and then I'm never going to. I was like, "I'm so sorry."
Cafeteria.
It is.
And Mike, if you're picturing Mike in your head, he looks like the assistant manager at a Geek Squad. He's the most unassuming person and performer, and a monster on stage.
Yeah. So
how do you spell his last name?
With an extra E. EARLEY.
Mike?
Yeah. Yep.
I want to see.
Just the most unassuming guy.
Yeah.
And this guy just brought the house down from the host spot.
Yeah.
I love it. I used to travel with Nick Garrett, like very funny
monster.
guy.
Yeah, Dallas
monster. So when I first started, I brought him out, and he was a monster because he was in it like 5-6 years before me. And I remember after the shows, people would do that. They go, "Mike, you're okay, but dude, you were great." And my ego was, because a lot of people would like let him go, because Nick's been dropped from several shows from headliners. I know him very well because he buries headliners, right? And he he was very nice. He was very cordial, but he was my boy. So I was like, I need to get to that level, and what's great is once you get to that level and then you find your own audience, and then you take them on the road and you see the difference, it shows growth. A lot of people will get rid of I know several big headliners that he opened for, that the club booked them, that they literally gave him a check and said, "You can't come back tomorrow." And I find that pretty amazing that comics do that. But I've also talked to huge headliners that say, "Why work? We've worked so hard to get to this point. I don't want to have to work when I go on stage."
Yeah.
So I guess you can see it both ways. I don't know. I'm not that person though.
Yeah.
Either you don't seem like two people that would tell features or hosts are not allowed to come back. Both of you seem like nice.
I would
guys
never.
No,
Yeah.
but there's certainly nights where I'm watching the feature kill. I'm like, I wish this wasn't happening, but I'm not going to be the guy to stop it.
Yeah. I hear those stories.
I don't like too much crowd work. That might be something I'd be like, hey, don't open it up. I want to do my act.
First time I went tour with Joe Coy, the first rule he gave me, no crowd work.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm the headliner. First person to talk to the crowd is me.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, that's a great rule. Why wouldn't he be the first and only person to talk to the crowd? It's his freaking crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So now I tell people, like they say, any regulation, I go, just no crowd work.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of crowd work, because the headliner should be the first person to talk to the crowd. And it's a lot easier because I'm not a crowd work comic.
Same.
So that ruins the vibe for your set.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some comic purists, you should be able to follow it. No, it's your show. You should be able to make the rules. Like Joe Coy, the biggest comic in the world right now, was like my first day out with him. He goes, no crowd work.
Yeah.
And I got it. I go, yeah. First of all, if you open for him, you should be able to do material.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to depend on the crowd. And that was his whole point. Bring material, not crowd work.
And we cannot puncture the illusion that we are more interesting than the crowd members. We can't have people knowing they are more interesting than us. That is a problem for
all right.
Fragile thing.
Now, are you engaged, married, or what?
Engaged.
Swimmer? Pro swimmer, ex-pro swimmer.
Yes. Retired. Yes.
Retired. Now, does she still swim a lot?
No, not at all. She hates it. She doesn't even like talking about it.
Really?
Yeah, she did it she did it because she had to. She did it because she was good at it from an extremely young age. Like, they knew her potential when she was, 8 years old. She went to nationals at 11.
Wow.
She was, like, narrowly missed the Olympic team as a teenager, and then, did it college national champion.
What college did she go to?
UT.
Oh, there you go.
Athlete of the year, not swimmer of the year.
So how'd y'all meet?
Instagram. I was a fan of her swimming. I like swimming a lot. I was a fan of her swimming, and I sent her a message on Instagram.
Do you remember the message?
The tedious details of it were that I was living in LA, and I know she was based in Austin, and I saw her on Bumble and in LA, and I took a screenshot. I swiped right. We didn't match, and I go, okay, I'll just message her on Instagram. So I sent her the screenshot on Instagram and said, hey, are you in LA? And she replied, no, but let me know if you ever have a show in Austin. She had, I guess, seen my comedy a little bit on my Instagram. And I had a show in Austin a couple weeks later.
Yeah,
we hung out, started dating immediately. And then, as the months passed, people were like, how'd you meet? And I was like, I kept saying Bumble. And she goes, why do you keep saying Bumble? And what we learned in that moment was when I sent the screenshot, it cropped the top and the bottom of the picture where it says Bumble and her profile. So from her perspective, it looked like I just sent a picture of herself and knowledge of her location.
Wow.
You were a stalker.
Yes.
Weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, pretty cool. I got a message back.
Yeah. Okay. For every guy out there who is 5'4" and looks like me, don't get your hopes up. Only guys like Matthew can send a message to some girl on Instagram and be like, hey, I know where you're at. You want to bang? And she's like, sure, why not? Yeah.
Was it like as soon as y'all met, you knew? Yeah.
We had texted for a month, and that was very good chemistry there. When we met, it was like instantly we started dating distance.
That's like me and my wife, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I knew after the first day I wanted to be around her a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
But like a month, 2 months in, it's like this is the one. So how long y'all been dating now then?
Oh, 8 years.
8 years?
Mm-hmm.
How'd you pull that off?
What do you mean?
Not being married.
Oh, she proposed to me, so I was planning on it, but yeah.
She proposed to you
to
try to speed things up.
Yeah.
Somewhat. She had always expressed an interest in doing it. Like, it was something we had kind of discussed, and I didn't know where it was at the time when she proposed. I was planning on it anyway, and she beat me to it. I was planning on it in Israel. We had a trip to Israel planned. This is obviously before October of last year.
Is that because she has broader shoulders than you? She was the one that proposed.
Stronger
shoulders and
good kneeling position.
Yeah, well, that's what you say in your comedy.
Yeah.
You wear her. She wears your shirts.
Yeah,
they fit right.
Yeah,
I watch your stuff.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, but that's interesting. And how do what'd your family think of a person? Because your family seems very traditional, right?
Yeah.
What'd they think about her proposing to you and not?
Oh, my family's not that traditional. No, my mom. So it's just my mom around now. She found it great. My mom's a feminist and thinks that's great. My mom actually really likes Laura, my fiance, which is rare.
Oh, she doesn't like your past.
She can be a grumpy lady sometimes. I love her very much.
Has your mom ever brought somebody home and she was like, no?
My college girlfriend, she was just like, that's nice, but that's not going to be the person you end up with. I go, why? Because it's your college girlfriend. You don't marry your college girlfriend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I won't say that part. But okay. Yeah,
Okay.
there are some people. No. We don't have to get anything up. Okay.
Yeah.
There are some people my mother doesn't approve of, and you can make whatever sense you want out of that statement.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, is she the one then that makes the date? Since she'll say we're gonna get married this day. Like, is she driving
we
this
through
train?
all of it.
Okay.
I'm trying to
She
take
did
somewhat of a
include
lead
you.
on the wedding planning because that's she in a lot of relationships, women carry a lot of the burden of planning and housekeeping and vacation and all those little logistics, and men are supposed to make the money, and I don't even make the money, so I'm like, I got to be doing something. I got to carry something here.
Yeah.
If I'm not the one vacuuming, if she's the one vacuuming and paying for dinner, I gotta step up.
So what does she do now?
She's tech sales and she does comedy.
She does stand up too?
Yeah, which is the name of our podcast. We'll stand up too.
She's a stand up. That's the name of the podcast.
She does stand up too as the podcast.
Is
Yeah.
she good?
Wow.
Yes. She comes with me on the road. It's great.
Do you
That's
help her write any
great.
material?
Huh?
Do you help her write any
No.
material?
No, she
all
wouldn't
her-
take it from me. No.
Okay. Wow.
No.
Okay.
Wow.
I talk about it on stage a bit, which is
I love it.
yeah. It's nice. Oddly, it's made things easier because it used to be like early on. She's always as a for former pro athlete, she understands the absurd sacrifice it takes to succeed in such a dream
yeah.
of an industry. So she always was somewhat understanding, but now that used to be I would have to like sneak off on vacations to do stage time, and now she's like, "Oh, you found a spot? Let's go." So we get to do it together a little
Do
more.
you ever get in fights on the road? Because do you ever
Sure.
feel like I wish I could just do this date by myself?
No, it's always easier to have her around. It's hard to follow sometimes because she talks about me, obviously.
Yeah.
So it's having to frame my jokes as rebuttals, and when it works well, it works great. The audience, when we do shows together, there's this feeling the audience has like they got more than they paid for.
Gotcha.
To see both sides of the story, people really feel like they got. When you do a great job where you do like multimedia and show them pictures of your family,
Yep.
how much more invested in you the crowd feels.
yeah.
When I bring her with me, people want to talk to both of us after the show. They feel like they got to hang out in our house. It's not just this one-dimensional stand-up thing. It's this kind of surround sound
Yeah.
of perspectives.
Well, the best piece of advice I got in stand-up was from Joe. Since we're storytellers, do you consider yourself a storyteller or more of a?
I'm trying to learn it.
So-
I opened for Bert for many years, and it's
Bert's great.
such an incredible skill, and I'm
Yeah.
getting better at using characters and using events.
So Joe, I guess I'm a storyteller. I would call myself a storyteller. So Joe said, So I did this show. It was a comedy juice at Melrose Improv. About 3 years in, I went in the middle of the show, like fourth.
That's
great
a
position.
hot show.
At the time, and I did well. And the last guy crushed, destroyed. And I'm leaving with Joe, and Joe goes, "You had the best set of the night."
Mm-hmm.
I go, "What are you talking about? The last dude almost got a standing ovation." He goes, "What's his name?" I go, "I don't know." He goes,
Mm-hmm.
"Tell me something about him." I go, "I have no idea." He goes, "I know who you are. I know about your mom. I know about your dad. I know about your fiance." He goes, "That people are leaving with a piece of you." He goes, "Your comedy, you want people to go, I really like that guy, and he's funny, rather than just funny, because people don't remember just funny."
Yeah.
And he goes, "People always outgrow your joke, but they never outgrow you."
Yeah.
And I've held on to that piece of advice.
I took acid one time, and
Yeah.
my revelation was your job is to make people feel less alone, and the person who will succeed is the person who makes people. And
That's what it is,
Yeah.
man. It's almost like
turn yourself inside out.
people want to feel like when they come, like I think stand-up's becoming more therapeutic for people too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's about to be a lot more.
Yeah,
after
right,
the election, or at
right?
least half the
Well,
country.
for half the country, right? But like
less than half the country.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Lost the popular vote too. Way to go. Yeah, so I can honestly say I'm the black and Asian person everybody likes.
Yes.
You know, we can all agree Michael Yo is the black and Asian person we like that comes to your city. But I as my style of comedy, it's just I feel like since I talk about a bunch of characters in my life, no matter what color, people always go, "My mom's like that." White person, "Hey, my mom's just like your mom.
Mm-hmm.
She just says whatever she wants to." So as long as people can identify somebody in your family or somebody that's
Yeah.
like you, That's for me. That's what gets people like, oh my God. And with Bert, like you've traveled with him, like Bert, people are so invested in Bert, and his kids and his wife, because now they're a real life sitcom.
Right, and working with Bert really taught me a lot. My favorite joke I did on the special is just a birthday note sent from my mother to my fiance, and I read it on stage, and I certainly added some commentary as jokes, but to me, it almost feels like cheating, where I'm like, these are just the words from one person to another. I've established them as characters already, and that's nice, but like to share this thing that is, it's a little mean of me to share it, but like this vulnerability of me, 3 characters kind of converging in this one piece of paper, and the love I get for that joke is what you were saying of, my mom's just like that. That could have been my mom who wrote that note.
100%.
And you feel less alone.
Yeah, and people are so connected with you. After they, like you said, with your fiance, they want to talk to you. They want to, oh my God, and they want to tell you their stories about their parents. In a weird way, when people stop me after the show, they have to tell me if they have a Black or Asian person in their family down the line. Like the white person will be like, my sister's cousin married a Black guy, so I totally understand. I'm like, okay, that's not racist at all, but okay, I'll take it. But they're trying to connect, and that's what's cool about comedy. Through your comedy, they can connect with you. Tell me about your special, man.
It filmed it in Brooklyn,
December 13th.
YouTube, Hyperbolic.
Releasing it on your own.
Release it on my own. It's fun. I put a lot of work into it. I think the jokes are well written, but I do think it's like a full meal. It's people. It's stories. It's I'm trying to be, from moment to moment as funny as I can be. But I also think it's going to be enjoyable if you watch the whole thing, because it's, like you said, longer chunks, and you get more invested in it. So trying to put something that is somewhat antithetical to this hyper short form, attention span deficient.
And it's 30 minutes, right?
Oh, I'm doing 49.
49 minutes.
Which is probably stupid. I probably should have just done 30.
I only do 30 minutes now because it's all about clips. And then I feel like people feel like they watch people's specials through clips. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what I feel.
When Dave Attell did a 34-minute special.
Yeah, that says
anybody can do.
Dave Attell?
Yeah, Dave Attell.
Dave Chappelle did that one at the Belly Room was like 42 minutes.
Yeah.
I just feel comedy's changed where it needs to be bite-sized now.
Yeah,
it needs to be like, all right, I'm done. Because mentally, if I see something an hour, I haven't watched a full Dave Chappelle special in one sitting. It's literally, and that's Dave Chappelle, and Dave Chappelle's my favorite, or Bill Burr. It's like something always comes up. I can't sit down for an hour. But mentally, when my last one was 28:52. I didn't want it to go over 30. And right now, my new special that's coming out is sitting at 32, and I'm trying to cut 3 minutes off. Because for some reason, it's like, when they sell stuff at the mall for like $29.99, you're like, well, it's not 30. So mentally people go, oh, I got under 30 minutes to watch this. As soon as it goes over 30, something flips in somebody's head that goes, that's a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get it under. If I were you and you have make it a 2-parter, 6 months apart, cut it down the middle, freaking like what, 24 minutes a piece, 24 and a half a piece. Boom, 2-parter, put it out, get people invested. And if the first one doesn't hit, the second one has a better chance to hit. And I mean, this is just me spitting out stuff. You already got your thing. But I know it's all about clips to push people. I will chop that thing up into as many clips as I can. 100%.
Yeah, I will beat that pinata dry. But
like I said, if I ever do an hour, it's going to be, or even 45 minutes. I'll split it in 2.
Yeah,
and put it out because
I could do 3 parts on this one. It is actually 3 very modular portions.
I'm just saying, man, it's a different world now. We can't think our specials 30 minutes. Like I've seen people release, Don't Tell's releasing 15-minute specials and people are blowing up.
Yeah,
that's
right.
30. Yeah,
yes. It's a different world now, man. So
I don't know. For me, I've put out a lot of clips that have done well, and it's resulted in a bit, but not all that much. So this is my chance to
really get them.
And I want to. What I really want is the 90 to 1.5 to 3 minute stuff. I want to take that and pull a lot of 3-minute jokes out of it. Obviously, I'll do the short form stuff, but like 3 minutes is now long form content, and I have some stuff where I'm like, if you listen for the full 3 minutes, this is quite a lot in 3 minutes. And
yeah.
Well, I don't know how that'll do. Please.
So the biggest bits that blow up from YouTube.
Sure.
I'm not talking about Instagram. YouTube, start with a great joke up front, but let it play. Go 12 minutes, no matter what it is. If your special's 49 minutes, cut up 5 different 12-minute chunks. It could be the repeat, but have a different joke start, because the 12-minute clips will get you more money. I'll tell you after
so
the show.
take the same thing and then
Just
release
start
it
at a
again
different
in
point.
segments.
Yeah, just 12-minute clip it, and then 3-minute clip it.
Okay.
And what you'll see is the 12-minute clips. YouTube loves 12 minutes. If you look at the biggest YouTuber, the tech guys like MKHBD, he's phenomenal. I watch him all the time. And this other guy, it's all 12 minutes. That is like the sweet spot. So what I did on my last special that was only 30 minutes, I cut it up into like 4 12-minute parts. And it just repeats some of the stuff, but the opening joke is different. And you just let it play. It's not even a whole joke. You just let it play. And actually, I learned that from Rogan. Rogan, when he blew up on YouTube, what he would do is take, let's say, Matthew Broussard talks about his fiance and asking him to marry, right? So that would be the opening. But then he just let it play for like another, say that bit is 5 minutes or y'all talking 5 minutes about it. You just let it play for another 7, 12 minutes, no matter what it is, and just cut it off. Because people heard what brought them in. You know, they heard and then it becomes background noise. So a lot of people just keep it playing as long as it plays. And that's where the money comes.
Yeah, the people watching this on YouTube, you can is going right now because this
is
in fact,
12
will be
minutes.
a 12-minute clip.
Yeah,
this
is
is
a
going on
12-minute
right. This
clip.
will be a 12-minute clip. Absolutely.
No, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So like I already talked to Rudy. Everything we do is 12-minute clips.
Yeah.
Everything.
Going back to your special, so I opened for you in Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah, last year.
Not Chicago. Western suburbs of Chicago, which is a much harder region to market to.
It is. It's out there, man. I mean, they might as well.
Chicago are like, that ain't Chicago.
Yeah, no, it's like 50 minutes out of.
It's the Orange County of Chicago.
Oh my God! So it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, Batavia, Illinois. Great club. You know, fun.
What was the name of the club?
The Comedy Vault.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that the one in a bank?
Yes, that's the one I told you about.
Where the green room is in
the kitchen area, like where they mix drinks. That's the actual vault, but it's an old bank that.
I think I went there a long time ago.
I don't think you've done this one. This one you definitely because
the one I did, the green room was in the vault.
Oh yeah, no, this one's not that. Yeah.
Sandman.
No, I thought it was called the Comedy.
I've done so many comedy shows that used to be
it's
in
an
banks
old bank.
that I have a joke that works every time.
It's very funny.
Thank you, I
love
appreciate it.
Yeah. But going back to the content, so I imagine that's the special that you shot was the hour that I saw you do.
Possibly, yeah.
So how much new material since then since the time you recorded it to now, how much new stuff have you cranked out?
I've taken a lot of stuff that I had when I did the special that didn't make it onto the special and certainly polished that, but 30. Trying.
Are you a fast writer?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
What's your process?
Just go on stage a lot.
Really? Do you write? Do you sit down with a piece of paper and put out, like, I'm going to sit down for an hour every day and write 10 jokes. Do you have that in you? I
know this is somewhat meta to reference a podcast within a podcast, but the Jerry Seinfeld episode of the Tim Ferriss podcast is what I try to do, which is sit down and whatever you come up with is good, whether it's a new joke or just writing down an old joke and going, wow, that was a good joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just sitting down and just taking my ideas and typing them out and say, hey, this joke works. Let's just type it out and see if the setup's
So
long.
you write out the full joke?
Not until I've told it. Typically, I'll tell a joke and then start writing it down.
See, I do bullet points. Yeah. I'll write a bullet point, and then like I was talking to a Cuban person about the election. I'm not going to give you the joke because I haven't written it, but he was talking about socialism, right? How Trump won Miami because they've been able to label Democrats as socialist. This is only in like Miami, right? And I go, what is socialist? And he goes, well, it's like, what is Cuban version of socialist? Because they're from Cuba. And he goes, well, basically you got to do things that you don't want to do, but you got to act excited about it. What's yours is theirs. And then he goes, and it's hard to get out of this thing, you know? And I go, oh, in my head as a comic, I go, that's marriage. You know, literally everything about that is marriage. So that's what I would start with. But then just keep writing and put it into a story in life or misdirect it or something like that. You know, like that's the beginning of it. So it's just a bullet point, and it's off a story this guy told me. Really, like that's what happens in Cuba. If you have a house and government wants it, now it's their house. You know, if they want you to throw a parade for X, Y, or Z, you have to show up to that parade and act excited about it. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
Yes, you could build that out.
Yeah.
Do you ever write down the joke once it's done?
No.
It's a great process. It can really show you where the fat is.
Yeah.
I started doing my own clips and captioning old clips from just stuff I've had on TV during the pandemic, and that's been very useful for me. But just like captioning your own content, you're like, There's 7 extra words.
But
and
you know
there's
what?
20.
But you know, I think my style of comedy, I think storytelling, a lot of like people don't mind extra detail because it's not as tight. But then over time, it does get tighter.
Yeah, you can expedite that process by writing. I would say it's worth sitting and writing.
Yeah, see, and I
would advocate.
Well,
for
now you can just put your set into ChatGPT and it'll.
I'm looking for syllables to cut. I'm looking for how can I use a contraction? Where's an ing that could not be that I can conjugate so it's fewer syllables like that? Yeah. I want that. When I'm near a punchline, let's go for it. Let's dig into it. We know where the funny part is. Let's get there. And certainly there's details along the way, but even in a good story, even in a human piece of content that is still very real and emotional, there's still so much efficiency that can be used.
See, I'm kind of the opposite, where I'm at a point because Rudy's too much, it's very tight. Mm-hmm. The punches come, and I'm like, I need to expand and just kind of BS, not BS, but paint the picture more. Mm-hmm. Like it was a blue sky. It was add more detail of oh, Matt was wearing this shirt or Rudy was wearing this, and we went to this thing, and I feel like I need to add more details with storytelling.
You can make those details funny though. Those details can be beats.
Yeah,
it can be.
And trust me, every night when I have to sit and watch you do that, where you can just pontificate about anything and you just crush, and I'm back there literally Matt is talking about, if I use can't instead of cannot, fine. It's the hardest thing to do. So I think it's fun to watch.
I just just going up there, kind of figuring it out up there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. But it's also what your crowd is trained for. My crowd knows they want to hear stories about your life. So
I just want to be a fucking machine gun. I listen to good rap, like Ludacris. I listen to good rap where every line is something interesting. Every word has value. Oh, yeah. That is the most interesting thing to me.
Yeah, but that's what I love about writers like you. I respect writers so much. I don't consider myself a writer at all. I consider myself a storyteller that punches up stories. Mm-hmm. A writer is like a Mark Norman, a Sam Morril, or you. It's great. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes, my peers.
Yes,
my peers, Sam Morril and Mark Norman, who we all feel such equal amounts of fame and money.
But style.
Sure.
Of course, topic wise, is
great comics, of course.
Yeah. But my thing is I couldn't. That's exhausting. I told Rudy, I don't know how y'all do it. It's exhausting to me. Yeah. I would lose my mind if I wrote that like that. I couldn't do it personally. Rudy, let me tell you how you talked about good stage time. I saw Rudy about a year and a half ago. He opened for me in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And I walked away going, oh, he's good. Man, this dude destroys now. Mm-hmm. Destroys.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm so happy for him. And it just shows how much good stage time can do for you. Because he's not getting up for 3 minutes. He's doing 25 minutes every one of my shows.
Yeah.
Killer.
The punchiness and the human aspect, you him. You see the whole person there.
Yeah. And it's great to see people grow like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's the biggest joy I get. So.
Yeah. This is who I am as a person. When Jay-Z is I don't even write down my raps. I just do it all in my head. My first thought is, but think about how much better you would be if you did. That is the old Jewish mother I'm becoming.
Yes. I did that once. And
I'm not saying never write a joke before you say it. I've always learned that you're gonna if you want to say something, you're gonna say it on stage before you even get a chance to write it down.
Well, what I do now is when Rudy gives me a set, I'll just throw it into a transcript, and then I'll just look through it, and then you can just cut. Now it's so much easier to do all this stuff because I can go through my set through. Oh, I don't need that. If I get to that point, you know what I mean. But all right, special comes out December 13th. YouTube Hyperbolic. Mm-hmm. What's the name? Where'd you come up with that name? What's it mean to you?
It's a word that has equal pertinence between comedy and math, and it's just a cool word.
All right.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
All right.